and Book Nook Noggin here, and let's talk about Dune Book 4, God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, first off, I want to say if you are one of those people who is a big fan of Duncan, Idaho, you're really gonna like this. For some reason, Frank Herbert must think that his character is like the ultimate man. He must think he's the top dog, top standard for what it means to be a manly man, and that's all I can kind of imagine for why Duncan, Idaho keeps reappearing in his later books. But this one, we have Leto the Second, who is now kind of transformed himself, because this is going to be a spoiler. If you have not read The Children of Dune yet, you're going to want to stop here, because I'm going to be spoiling things that happened at the end of Children of Dune, and if you have not read Children of Dune, then, you're going to be spoiled. Just throwing that out there. But at the end of Children of Dune, Leto the Second had, embraced the sand trout, and he's basically become a huge sandworm human hybrid kind of creature. And this book takes place thousands of years. I think it might be either 3,000 to 5,000 years after the events of the Children of Dune. And we have the book. It's very philosophical, almost kind of written like a Bible, because it has a lot of these philosophical kind of quotes from Leto II and Hark Aladar and all these other people who, played key roles in earlier books, and they're kind of looked on as prophets for this, what is called the Golden Path. The Golden Path is basically Leto II's plan for humanity. He kind of, because of his prescience, he sees the future. He's aware of problems like red flags, issues that are going to affect humanity. And he's kind of set up this safeguard to help protect people. But at the same time, the population of the universe kind of looks at him like a tyrant. They think that he's a bad leader because of the implications of the stuff that he's put into place. There's really not much spice, because the world of Arrakis, by this time, is just like Earth. There's a lot of water, a lot of greenery. There's a very small desert on this world, and that's where Leto's castle, his keep, the Citadel, lies in the middle of this desert, and it's kind of hard to get to, and he's got a lot of predators and stuff that patrol the area to try to keep people from just walking on in, because people are trying to steal his journals, his diary, basically. He has this device that's manufactured by the Ixians, and it basically, he doesn't have to write because he is a worm body. It uses his thoughts and just records all of his thoughts. And yeah, and if you're not familiar, but I mentioned the Duncan, Idaho. Duncan is a Gola, and a Gola is basically a clone, but it retains its memories from before the original host died. And so we're confronted with a number of Golas of Duncan, Idaho, and I'm not going to go into detail about what happens with them. If you want to learn more about what happens with the Duncan, Idahos, you're going to have to read the book to find out. But yeah, I found this to be very interesting, but it's not one of his greater works. This is my second time reading this. This is a reread for me. It has been a number of years since I read this originally. And I have to say that I kind of feel somewhat the same about this. I still feel like it's a 4 out of 5 star book. But, at the same time, there were some things that were kind of questionable when I was reading it, and I was like, oh my god, did Frank Herbert really put that in print? For instance, there's this scene with this one character, I think her name is Nyla, or Nayla, and she's like kind of obsessed with Duncan. Now this is the thing, like Leto II has like his army, and they're all female soldiers, and they're called the Fish Speakers. And this Nyla or Nayla, whatever her name is, she's one of these fish speakers, and she has such a thing for Duncan, Idaho, that he's climbing a cliff, and the author describes how she's becoming aroused by watching him climb this cliff. And when he reaches the top, she has an orgasm. And I was like, did I just read that? And I don't remember that. See, that's like just one of those fucked up scenes that authors kind of put into books that you kind of, if you don't notice them the first time around, you notice them the second time, you're like, what the fuck? Kind of like the gangbang scene in it was kind of like that, but not that much over the top, but it was still a little weird. But yeah, aside from that, I did enjoy this. I love the kind of mystery of trying to figure out, like, because if you read this and you haven't read the whole series, you don't know what the threat to humanity is, which is kind of fun. I really do want to reread Heretics of Dune, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it as soon as I possibly can. I might have to wait on it for a while. So this might be the last Dune video you get from me for a while. But yeah, I did enjoy this. I do think that if you are someone who enjoyed the earlier books before this, I think you'll still get something out of the series. I still really did enjoy this. It's more or less about the relationship with Leto and his new Fremen, because the Fremen are totally radically different because of the shaping of the world. They're not the survivalists that they used to be. They're kind of complacent, and they're used to having things just kind of handed to them. They're not really used to trying to fight for their survival. And that it's like an interesting glimpse into humanity. And humanity, even though the world's being handed to them on a silver platter, they still feel like they're being oppressed. And it's just kind of, kind of makes you think about things. But what it is, what it is. It's not like that super philosophical. Like, you're not going to read it and be like, oh my god, what's going on? It's not that hard to follow. But it is a good read, in my opinion. Of course, as always, if you do live in the U.S., I will have a link to Amazon down below for you to pick up a copy of this for yourself. If you live outside the U.S. and you want to help support my channel in another way, I will have my coffee link down there as well. You can buy me a coffee or two, help support my channel. If you can't do any of these things, but you still want to show your support, help by subscribing and hit that notification bell so you're well aware of when I upload again. This has been Dan. This has been God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. Take a look at that. This is a really old copy. Really old copy. It's not a first edition, but it is an older copy. But that's all I got for you guys. Till next time, this has been Dan. Later.